to a different edition of Daft on Draft. So again, as you guys know, Dalton and I have been dropping 4 episodes a week of the Daft on Draft podcast, and those have been going on this YouTube channel. But I want to do a little bit more on top of those podcast recordings. And Dalton does his own NFL and film breakdown stuff on his Patreon as well. So I encourage you to really check that out. But I want to do some more stuff on my own as well on my channel. In addition to those episodes that I'm recording with Dalton. Again, thank you so much for all the support on those episodes. The podcast is really growing exponentially. I've gotten a ton of positive feedback, and Dalton and I are just having a blast doing it. But in addition to those 4 podcasts a week, I want to get some more other creative stuff on the YouTube channel as well, whether that's a film breakdown, player prospect interviews, whatever that may be, whatever strikes my inspiration, my fancy. But what I thought I'd do today, because a big part of what I do at Daft on Draft and kind of what I'm hoping that I've kind of built in the draft community is my charting project, where I chart ball placement and accuracy for all of these draft eligible quarterbacks. And again, this week on my Substack, daftondraft.substack.com, I dropped the very early stages of that charting project for the 2025 class. So I've got 5 quarterbacks up in that drive already. There's a link in that Substack article that's pinned to the top. And again, those 5 quarterbacks that I have so far: Quinn Ewers, again, he only has a 3-game sample size. Shedeur Sanders has full 5 games. Garrett Nussmeier has a full 5 games. Jalen Miller has 4 games. And Cam Ward has a full 5 games. So those are the 5 quarterbacks that I have done. Again, as soon as I'm done recording here, actually, I'm going to go and I am going to do Carson Beck's as well and get Carson Beck's charted tonight and up onto the drive as well. Again, as a father of 2 very young children, I sometimes have to step away late at night after bedtime to get some work done on the extra stuff. This isn't my day job still. I do have a day job on top of my football content. So got to make time where I can. But what I thought I would do today is chart a game live for this YouTube channel to kind of show exactly what I'm doing, what I'm trying to do, and my process as I'm going through a game. And I'm not using a 2025 quarterback as an example in this one, mainly because I didn't think Carson Beck through the first 5 games would be a great example of that's who I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and use a 2026 guy who started a couple games because Quinn Ewers has gotten hurt. What better way to show you a chart, what I go through the process of charting, than using Arch Manning and what he did against Mississippi State. And again, I'm using Huddle. I sometimes I'll use Thundercloud as well if the game's not up on Huddle. That I have access to. I think Huddle's UX is 10 times better though. So if I can use Huddle, I try to use Huddle. The lag time in between plays is so much smoother. So I really enjoy using Huddle. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to chart Arch Manning. And at the end, I'm going to show you what the chart kind of ends up looking like. So again, in my Substack article, I break down the methodology of weighted on target percentage, which is what I'm calling my metric, what I've named my metric, weighted on target percentage. It describes the methodology. It describes what the different colors on the charts mean that you'll see when you start diving into the charts. And it even describes the shortcomings of the charts. But before we dive into this chart on Arch Manning and going through this game on Arch Manning, let me talk a little bit about that. So the methodology behind it. Clearly, creating explosive plays is needed at the NFL level, especially in today's game where those explosive plays are being completely contained at an extraordinary rate. We are not seeing a lot of explosive plays. So if you have an opportunity to create an explosive play, you got to take it. You got to have it. And so I want quarterbacks who, when that opportunity presents itself, have the ability to hit those plays deep down the field. That's where the weighted thing comes into this weighted on target percentage. It's just not a percentage of on target, but I have using standard deviation of whatever deviation is the highest among all of the quarterbacks that I've charted over the past 4 years deserves the most weight. That's where the most difference lies in all of these quarterbacks is 25 plus down the field. So that's the first level of the field that I weight the highest, 25 plus down the field. Then I look at along the boundaries. Again, there's a lot of layered throws along the boundaries, a lot of back shoulder throws, a lot of chunk plays can be created along the boundaries. Not only that, you can get your guys into space along the boundaries and over the middle of the field as well. But over the boundaries, along the boundaries at the intermediate level from 10 to 24 yards gets the second highest weight. Over the middle gets the third highest weight. Again, intermediate level, 10 to 24 yards between the numbers. So along the boundary is anything outside of the numbers in that intermediate range. Over the middle of the field, and again, the standard deviation between the boundary and the middle of the field is very razor thin. So the weights between those are not exorbitant, are not exponential, but they are a little bit different, because I do think being able to connect on throws to the boundary hold a lot of importance at the NFL level. And so that does have a small higher weight, but that doesn't disregard what that happens in the short game. So that's 10 or 9 yards and below. And that's the entire width of the field. I'm not trying to chart, 9 yards to the right, 9 yards to the left, 9 yards of the middle, 9 yards and below across the width of the field is that fourth level of field that gets the lowest amount of weight. But I don't disregard that as absolutely nothing, because operating the short game at the NFL level, especially as we're talking about how defenses are containing these explosive plays at an unbelievable rate, is absolutely necessary. So if you have a quarterback who can't really hit on the short game, that's still a pretty big issue. So that still carries a weight. It's not nothing. But it does carry the lowest weight, because, again, as I've done the standard deviation on all of the quarterbacks that I've charted over the past 4 or 5 years now, you see the smallest difference in on-target percentage between every single quarterback in that 9 and under range. So if there's not a huge difference in quarterbacks' ability to throw the ball on target at that range, I don't want to make that weight through the roof, if that makes sense. Compared to throwing deep down the field, there's a huge deviation between on target percentage working down the field. So I really want to value those quarterbacks who can create explosive plays when they present themselves. And so that's kind of the methodology behind weighted on target percentage. Again, it's not completion versus incomplete. It's on target or off target. So on these charts, you will see 5 different colors, really, but 4 that represent throws that are chartable. There's green, which is on target and complete. There's blue, which is on target and incomplete. So that could be a deep ball where I think the landmark on that deep ball is really good, but whether the wide receiver gets held up by the defensive back and that doesn't get called, that really alters his track, or the wide receiver tracks the ball poorly or drops the ball. Those are throws that I'm still going to chart as on target, using context surrounding it. So what's the concept of the play? And again, I'm not in meetings. I have a general idea of passing concepts, right? I'm not in meetings, and so sometimes you have to take your best guess. That's a lot of the work in this industry as it is. But using some context, like down and distance, what's the concept of the play? Where is the wide receiver running his route versus where does he catch the football? And that's a big thing when having yellow come up, which is completed but off target. So I think there's a throw from Jalen Milroe in that Georgia game that I think is a really good example of that. And it's on the first drive where it's a completed deep ball, but the wide receiver's tracking. He's got to step outside the numbers along the boundary. He's got his DB beat. Milroe throws that ball kind of leveraged back in towards the middle of the field, in towards a safety, where the wide receiver still makes the play on the ball, but the wide receiver kind of bailed Jalen Milroe out on that throw by having to abandon his track along the boundary and having to come back inside the numbers and catch that football. So that's an example of a throw that I'm going to mark as yellow. So completed but off target. I think those quick hitting screens, bubble screens, quick outs, if you throw on the wrong shoulder on those, that really forces your ball carrier to spin around and catch the football instead of catching it in stride and just getting upfield or working behind blockers in space as screen plays are designed. I'm going to mark that as yellow. Stick routes, if short routes, if you're forcing receivers to extend outside of their frame to catch these passes, that's going to be yellow. Even if it is caught, even if it is completed, hospital balls over the middle, kind of the same. I'm not going to reward quarterbacks for putting their wide receivers in positions where the wide receiver is the one who has to make a play they shouldn't have to make in order to catch the football. Red obviously is incomplete and off target. Pretty straightforward there. So those are the 4 colors. And then you'll see black dots on the chart as well. Black are unchartable throws. So example is either throwaways. So quarterback just hurls it out of bounds, spikes out the feet of his receivers. Another example of an unchartable throw would be if the pressure as the quarterback's getting hit while he throws directly impacts the flight of the football substantially, or I can't tell who the intended receiver is. I can't tell where he's trying to go with the football. That's going to be an unchartable throw. And so another unchartable throw would be like a wide receiver quarterback miscommunication. So a wide receiver runs a 10-yard hook, and he leverages, he comes back inside. He cuts back inside instead of cutting back towards the boundary, and the quarterback throws to the outside shoulder, but the quarterback cuts inside. There's a clear miscommunication on tape. That's an unchartable throw as well. How am I supposed to tell what's the intended purpose of that play? Who's right, who's wrong? So those are 3 examples of unchartable throws as well. So that's what you'll see pop up on these charts as well at the end. Again, going through some of the limitations of what weighted on target percentage can do and can't do. I'm strictly trying to figure out which quarterbacks have the best placement and accuracy. These are on 2D charts with colored lines. I can't tell you by looking at my chart which quarterback has the strongest arm in the class. I can't tell you who has the best eyes in the class by looking at my chart. I can't tell you who has the best tools in the class. I can strictly tell you from my perspective and my charting who has the best ball placement and accuracy, and specifically who has the best ball placement and accuracy on levels of the field that create more explosive plays at a higher rate. That's really what I'm getting at. So just because of, I think a good example of this is like Bo Nix had a really high weighted on target percentage last year. Is at 70%, probably I think fourth highest in the class. So above Caleb Williams, just below Drake May and Jaden Daniels, but the third or fourth highest in the class. You gotta I can look at that in context because it's my own metric, and I can say I know the shortcomings of my own metric. And even though he's had the fourth highest weighted on target percentage in the class, doesn't mean I viewed him as my QB4 in last year's class. In fact, I viewed him as I think my QB6, which he was the sixth one off the board. But I viewed him as like my QB6, and I had a third round grade on him because again, these charts don't talk about arm talent. These charts don't talk about eyes and getting through progressions. And a lot of Bo Nix's on target percentage was inflated, but because he predominantly threw screens, stick routes, like the route trees that his receivers were running were very narrow, and what Bo Nix was asked to do post snap just wasn't there. And so that's the reason that another limitation that these charts have. And again, I can sit through that because it's my metric, and I'm also watching film outside of just charting to break down quarterback eyes, to break down arm talent, to break out lower half tools, to break out pocket presence, sack avoidance, those sorts of things that weighted on target percentage doesn't account for. Weighted on target percentage accounts for ball placement and accuracy. And again, gives weight to those quarterbacks who do it at more explosive levels of the field more often. That's the methodology. That's the limitations. That's what we're working with here. So without further ado, let's dive into this game. What I do is I have a blank graphic of a football field in Paint. That's literally it, Paint 3D. And I have ESPN's play-by-play on a different monitor. So ESPN's play-by-play allows me to see which plays are pass plays, and if it's a run play, I'm just skipping it. Again, I'm not breaking down the full game. I'm not even breaking down quarterback tools, runs, anything like that. I want to see the plays he's throwing the football because, again, I'm just evaluating this one particular thing. And so let's dive in. Let's do it. I'm going to go through the play-by-play. You won't see the chart because, again, I can only share one monitor, and it's going to be the game. But I will share the chart at the end. I'll edit the chart in when I'm editing the video, so you can see kind of what the chart looks like at the end when I'm done. But yeah, let's do this thing. So, Mississippi State, Texas. In this game, Arch Manning went 26 of 31 for 325 and two touchdowns. So, this first drive is a touchdown. First play of the game here from the 28-yard line is a 15-yard face mask on Mississippi State. But it does look like the play stood as is, so we're going to let it roll. Let's see if it's a pass or a run. It is a pass. So again, I'm going from line of scrimmage to spot of catch. So right now, ball's at the 28-yard line. 28. Nice eyes by Arch to get backside there. 28 to the 47. So we're looking at 19 yards right there. And again, my lines will go from the middle of the field to out here in this space between the numbers and the hashes. So again, that's how it's going to reflect on the chart. And again, unfortunately, you can't see me chart, but we're looking at 17 yards right here from middle of the field to just outside or just between the numbers and the hashes. Completed. So that's going to be straight up green. On target, complete. Let's roll. That's a pretty easy one to figure out right there, right? Boom, done. Again, this one's 16 yards to Isaiah Bond from the 35. So 35. So that's just a 4-yard stick route. Easy stuff. So I'm gonna pause that, and we're gonna go 4-yard stick route. Bang. You know, I'm actually hoping, and maybe Texas's offense wasn't a good one to use because Texas's offense creates a lot of eye candy screen pass. So again, from the hashes, just inside the numbers, behind the line of scrimmage. Green. So far on target 3 for 3, but 3 pretty not difficult throws there. Speaking of Gunnar Helm, that tight end that he just threw the football to, is a good football player. And this is the 20-yard throw here. So 21, hash outside the numbers, 20. Oh, that's beautiful. So again, this is going to be a boundary throw. Not quite a deep throw because, again, deep throws are 25 plus in depth for me, not 20 plus. So this is going to count as an outside the throw numbers. From the hash to the sideline right outside at 20 yards. That's a good throw right there. Again, Texas's offense does a lot pre-snap to allow for quarterbacks to know kind of what to expect coverage-wise from opposing defenses. This is a run, so we're just going to skip that. This drive ends in a fumble, but here's a 27-yard throw to Isaiah Bond from the 27 over the middle to the 45. Over the middle to the 45. It's hash to middle. So 27 to 45, we're looking at 18 yards right there. Bang. And again, I know some people chart way more. They chart personnel usage. They chart down and distance. They, you know what set is it? Is it 3x1, 2x2? I don't specifically go into all of that. I chart ball placement accuracy. Kudos to those guys that do. I'm not one of them. But yeah. All right, this one is a 5-yard pass, or this one's incomplete pass here. So we'll see 46 knocked down. So this is a good example here of an unchartable throw. That's an unchartable throw. So I'm going to put a black dot right there on the football field on my chart. Back here, bang. All right, this one we're looking at 5 passes to Helm here. Or that's to Bond, my bad. That's a little screen pass. So this is another one I'm talking about. See, this is borderline. I will probably put that as off target. Just look at where Bond's head is turned versus where he has to adjust to the football here, swing his hips all the way open and to catch that football. Where if he puts that on that front shoulder, where Bond is currently running. Bond is just turning and running. I mean, Bond is an excellent athlete. He's twitchy, so he makes an adjustment on that football look really easy. But ideally, you want to see Manning hit him on that front shoulder instead of the back shoulder there. So it seems ticky-tacky. It really does. But again, in this NFL draft industry, and again, it's not, don't take work too seriously if you're doing draft work, but you do have to be critical because the margin for error between these guys, between an insurance salesman and a draftable player is razor thin. So be critical and go for it, so that you can create some sort of margin between these players. If you are just celebrating everything a guy does and not being kind of nitpicky or critical, you're going to have kind of a cluster of prospects, for better or for worse, where your grades are going to look the same on everybody. So I'm being critical here. So 29 here. This is 5 yards to Gunnar Helm, the tight end again. Okay, so we're getting some pretty easy throws to chart here. Pretty easy throws to chart. All right, Jaden Blue run. And that's how the drive ends because Jaden Blue fumbled. This is a 3 and out here. This pass is incomplete. From the 21. Yeah, that's off target. I can see what he's trying to do there, but let's watch this view real fast. Sometimes this end zone angle helps as well to kind of figure out where Arch is trying to throw to the receiver. I mean, I think that's, again, here's another thing is I'm not going to reward bad decisions as well. Like he's reading this linebacker right here. He's clearly falling back. He should have just thrown it to Helm. He should have just thrown it to Helm. So I'm going to mark that as off target. It's a nice layered throw, but not quite there. So we're looking at from the 20 to so about 12 yards up the hash. That's another thing. Even if the ball hits like where the receiver's standing, but it's broken up by defensive back, or defensive back makes a play on the football on a decision that's like obviously not a good decision. I'm not going to give the quarterback the benefit of the doubt of being accurate on that play. He sacked, passed for 7 yards here. Again, I'm not giving quarterbacks credit for making bad decisions. So 9 yards to the 11, so 2 yards hash to hash. Oh boy, this is going to be a funny looking chart. On target, Gunnar Helm. Bang. All right. And then we're punting. Again, this plays 4 and out, so 12 yards here to the running back, 25. That's a little screen pass, so that's fine. Go out here down to the numbers. Bang. Run, complete for 4 yards to Matthew Golden. Just checking it down. Okay, fine. So again, with Huddle's UX, this can go pretty quickly, thankfully, because I have a lot of quarterbacks to chart. Pass incomplete here from the 38. Deep. Oh, that's a drop. I mean, let me see this angle just to be sure, but that's a beautiful ball. Oh yeah. Oh baby. Yeah, that'll be blue. That'll show up as blue. So we're looking at 38. So 12 to the 50 plus, where does that ball hit his hands? Plus 25. So we're looking at 37 yards, hash to just inside the hashes. And that's going to be a big blue line deep down the field. So again, this chart's going to reflect that Arch Manning was at this point in the game, 1-on-1, 1-for-1 on target, throwing the ball deep down the field. That is very much an on-target throw. That is very much an on-target throw. Honestly, no excuse for that ball being dropped. That's a touchdown. That's a touchdown. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Also, just speaking of Texas, this guy right here, stud. All right. So that forced a punt, even though that should have been a touchdown. First play of the drive here is a run. So we're going to move past. Loss of 2 yards, screen pass. That's what I figured. See, that's a fine ball. That doesn't force. I mean, the ball's on the wrong shoulder there, but it doesn't force a massive adjustment to the wide receiver compared to that one that the bond that we talked about caused him to contort his entire body and flip his entire hips to catch the football. I'm going to give a little bit of grace on that one. I think that's fine on the wrong shoulder, but whatever. It's not that it didn't force any adjustment to the receiver. All right. All right, this one's 10 yards to the back. Jaden Blue. So we're looking at from the 27 to the 31, 4 yards, just hash to just outside the hashes. Bang. 13 yards to Bond here. I'm looking at the 37. He's got all day. Jeez, 37. Ooh. See, I'm probably gonna ding him. I'm gonna ding him for this one. Because look at all the space that Bond has here. If he catches that ball in stride, look at all the space he has here. Arch put it here behind him. He's got nowhere to go. So that's gonna be 13 yards, but that's gonna be yellow. That's gonna be yellow. And again, just going back and looking at the amount of time and the pressure, like Arch threw that off of a bad base where he stepped up in the pocket, but I think he had time to reset his feet. Like, it's a 3-man rush. Good job stepping. Like, he didn't need to throw off that base. Didn't have to throw off. Just step up and throw it. Step up and throw it. See, look, look at this. He's got all this space. Just step up into that pocket and look at his base. Look at his base on this throw. Look, his plant foot's over here. Plant foot's over here. Just didn't need to do that. All right, 50, complete to Gunnar Helm for 4 yards. Yeah, pretty easy stuff there. Pass incomplete here. We're from the 46. Oh, a little wheel route. Oh, yeah, that's... And he's not trying to throw that. He's not trying to throw the ball away. He's trying to complete that pass. He's got the running back. That's just a bad ball, too. 46, outside the numbers. And he's got his guy. He's got his guy. 46, so to the 36, we're looking at 10 yards. So that technically counts as a boundary throw. Again, at the intermediate level, 10 to 24 yards is what we're looking for there. So it's going to get dinged for outside the number on target percentage on that one. Offensive holding here, so it's going to get called back. And then this is actually a touchdown. Wait, maybe it didn't because it's only 3 yards back. No, they did call it back. Okay. So this is a touchdown, 50-yard bomb. So we're looking 50, little slot fade. Slot fade is undefeated. Ooh, we're looking at 38 yards. That's a good throw, man. 38 yards down the field, just outside the number, hashed it just outside the number. Under pressure, too. I'll pull up the end zone view and kind of break this down a little bit because this is beautiful from Arch. That's a beautiful rep from Arch. 38 yards from hash, just outside the numbers. Beautiful rep. All right. So again, this is beautiful. Let's count the guys. He's got 5 in. This is a 5-man protection. Arch sees 5 in the box. He knows a 6 is on him. 6 is over here. So again, let's see here. He sees actually. So this is a better view. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the box. He knows he's only got 5 in. He knows the 6 guys on him. So that's just really well done to anticipate this is his responsibility. So if he sees this guy coming, he's got to get the ball out because again he's got here, here, or I'm sorry, here, and then there's a guy out here. So beautiful job to anticipate 7 coming, knowing 7 is his guy, and just get the ball out. That's his responsibility. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. So now we're at halftime. This is 1 play and a fumble. It's a Jaden Blue run, and that's a second fumble a game. Jeez. Yeesh. All right, 9 yards, Matthew Golden. Yeah, perfect. Perfect. Leverage that to the boundary. Corner's playing inside. So he's playing inside leverage here. Beautiful. It's fine. 9 yards, just inside the hash to on the numbers. All right, 47 from the. All right, yeah, skip this one. Run, ball starts. 23 yards to Isaiah Bond right here. It's a screen pass. Okay. See, this is bugging me about Arch Manning right here. Like, why do you need to make Isaiah Bond leave his feet to go catch this football? Why does Isaiah Bond need to leave his feet to catch this football? So, I mean, I'm going to ding him for that, man. Like, I mean, that it's my pet peeve. It's just, and it's to the short side of the field too. It's a screen to the short side of the field. It's on the back shoulder. It's on the wrong shoulder, and he made him leave his feet. Just put it on him. So he's going to get dinged for that and working the short game right there. And again, I'm just going to hold on to this chart for next year. It's going to be 1 game I don't have to chart this next summer when summer scouting comes back around. But hey. All right. So after that Bond, 23-yard, 9 yards to Gunnar Helm here. Coming underneath. Good job working his eyes backside. Again, he's not working against any pressure. He's got 3-man front right here. The 40 to the 35. We're looking at hash to just inside the hash, the other side. He's got all day to throw. All day to throw. 26. Another false. Actually, nope. What is this play? So sometimes, here's another frustrating thing. Sometimes ESPN's play-by-play is out of whack. So right here, this play is not even on ESPN's play-by-play. That's a good play by 14 to get over that pick. I think Arch reads that right. Arch definitely reads that right. You know, we're looking at we got the guy right here trying to set a pick on this guy to open this up. 14 just works over it. That's a good play. But also he doesn't put it on bond. So we're looking at 26 to the 17. So we're looking at 9 yards out there. I'm gonna ding him on that one. But again, I'm gonna have to go back and evaluate because again, ESPN's play-by-play is not aligned with the tape right now, and that happens sometimes, and you kind of have to just work through it. Didn't they kick a field goal? Yeah. So cool. All right, next drive, touchdown drive, 10-play drive. 3 years. There are 3 yards to Silas Bolden right here. Screen pass. That's fine. See, just do that every time, Arch. Put it on him every time. In stride. Let him work. All right. 31-yard pass play here from the 28. Step up. Nice. I love that. Step out of pressure and back into space. Get your eyes back to that cross. That's beautiful, Arch. 28 to the 46. So 18 yards there. God, that's beautiful. Right? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. 18 yards there. Give him some space to catch and run. There we go. Look at this. Step away into space. Get your eyes back there. Deliver a strike. That's quarterbacking. I love it. False start here. Run, run, run. Illegal snap. Run. 26-yard run from Manning. I can't chart this, but I'm going to watch it because I'm intrigued. Oh, hold up. What are you doing right here, 21? Okay, buddy. Yeah, you're going to get, you definitely got to talk to about that in your film session, 21. Run here. 1 yard run for Arch there. That's a touchdown too. All right, Archman pass to number 7 for 7 yards. Screen pass again. Good. Put it on him. All I want to see there, buddy. All I want to see there. All right. Run for 38. Run for 6. Run for 6. Pass complete for 8 here. Little leak backside. He's just going to check that down. Yep. It's a good job to step through that pocket and then find his check down right there. It's a nice little rep. All right, what do we got here? No play. Passed for 10 yards. Screen pass. Again, Arch, buddy, what are we doing? What are we doing? That's a hell of an adjustment, but come on, dog. Put that on him. Again, that's going to be yellow. Again, completed, but that's not on target. There's no world where that's on target. From the 20 here, no play. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it is. I think it still counts, but it does get a holding call, but the holding's downfield. So the play counts, and then it's 10 yards from the spot of the foul, which is the 20 they're going to call. Yeah, right. Called this guy right here for hold at the 17. So they'll dock it 10 yards from there. But again, that's a good screen pass. Why can't you just do that every time, Arch? Why can't you just do that every time? Again, this is a second career start, third game of substantial playing time. All right, 27 yards for a touchdown here. Hash. I'll tell you what, though, his deep ball is beautiful. Jeez, his deep ball is beautiful. Again, he's got a clean pocket. It's a 3-man rush with a late little spy. I see he's got all day to read this out, but that's a beautiful ball. So I do give depth of end zone as well. So we're looking at that's probably 6.5, 7 yards deep in the end zone right there. So 27, we're looking at probably 33 yards is what I'll give Arch on that one on the numbers from the hash. Yeah, from the hash on the numbers. So that's what we'll give Arch right there. Bang. So far, I've got Arch charted as 3 for 3 on deep balls in this game, which is pretty stellar. All right. We got a bunch of runs in a row here. This is a run, 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 run. This is a completed pass for 14 yards. 41 to the 30. So that's beautiful. It's 11 yards just inside the hashes to just outside the numbers. I'm going to look at the placement of this football on this angle here. Again, if there's no defender in sight, I'm a little more lenient on balls on the wrong shoulder. Like he's got steps on that DB. So just because that ball isn't leveraged out towards the boundary, that's a fine throw to me still. I'm not going to be that nitpicky. That's a fine throw. Because if just think about it, if he catches it out in the shoulder, like he's still not turning and running. Like by the time he adjusts, he's still toward the boundary there. So I'm fine with that. 1 yard run here. Isaiah Bond, just a rushing touchdown there. 2 plays, run and a kneel down. So that's it for this game of charting him. Again, this is what his final chart looks like. Insert editing queue to put the chart up here. So this is what his final chart looks like. Again, I've got him charted at 3 for 3 deep down the field. I've got him charted at 2 of 3 outside the numbers. He didn't have that one miss on that little wheel route and that missed pick. So 2 for 3 outside the numbers. Over the middle of the field, it looks like I've got him at 1, 2, 3, 3 of 5. So about 60% over the middle of the field. But what is disappointing is this is a lot more missed short game than I'm used to seeing in a game that I'm charting. Miami's Cam Ward is kind of the same way with this, actually, where on these little screen passes, he's just kind of those little bubbles, he's hitting the guys on the wrong shoulder. And it's like one of my biggest charting pet peeves. It's like, this is one of your easier throws, buddy. So, but he did, I'm not going to go through and count all of the short throws that he hit on this. But he did, by my charting, have 1, 2, 3, 4 off target charted throws in the short game, which is a pretty substantial number again, especially when we're talking about the standard deviation of that short game being so razor thin between quarterback prospects historically that I've charted. That's kind of a big deal. And then you see the one black dot where the ball was knocked down at the line of scrimmage. It's kind of buried behind those green lines down there behind the line of scrimmage, but that's the ball that was knocked down, so I can't count that as a charted throw. And again, based off this game, I can't spit out this is what his weighted on target percentage is. Again, I need a 5-game sample size before I can have a firm, good, healthy sample to determine with enough throws at every level of the field where it's not like a guy is 1 of 3. And I have to put 33% for deep down the field. No, I want volume before I start weighing percentages. So I can't spit you a number right here. But what I can do is, you can go check out the Substack and you can click through those PDFs that are in there. And those guys that do have 5-game sample sizes, you'll see up in the top left-hand corner, I do have a weighted on target percentage for those guys that have 5-game sample sizes. I can tell you right now, Shedeur Sanders is the most on target and accurate in this class so far that I've found at 77-ish%. Garrett Nussmeier is the lowest at 55, and I think I have Cam Ward right around 64. So kind of in the middle there. Jalen Milroe has 4 games. So Carson Beck has 4 games. So, I should be getting more in the next couple of weeks as well. And again, I'll drop a midseason quarterback ranking and primer of like through half. This is kind of where I stand. But this is just an example of what the process looks like for me to chart a game. And again, I do this for every single game for draft eligible quarterbacks. So it is a bit a tedious process, but it's a labor of love. And again, weighted on target percentage is my thing. And it's kind of my baby. And for me personally, like, it's a huge resource for me to evaluate ball placement and accuracy. And I've kind of found that it's really helped me to pin down some quarterback classes and help me to understand these guys on a deeper level because, even peripherally, I can still see a guy's arm talent. Again, I'll go back and actually watch for eyes, arm talent, all that stuff. I kind of broke down a little bit there, like, oh, Arch did a good job of getting to that read, blah, 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 blah. I have to do that separately from charting, separately from just looking at ball placement and accuracy, because there's so much that goes on in quarterback play. How are they playing in the pocket? What kind of pressure are they working against? If there is a 6 versus 5 or 7 versus 6, offensive line versus defensive trenches, like, is he understanding his protection well? Like, there's so much stuff that I have to look that's separate from just charting. So again, knowing the limitations of weighted on target percentage, I'm just looking at ball placement and accuracy right now. And I hope that's been conveyed, but that's kind of my process. Again, if you have any further questions, please reach out to me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Fake Corey Kinnan. And I'll be more than happy to answer any other questions. But I think that gives you a pretty good grasp of the process that I work through to get these games charted, to get that weighted on target percentage number, to help me understand how well these quarterbacks can place the football at every level of the field. But that's it for this edition of Daft on Draft, and I hope you enjoy. Subscribe, like to the channel, keep listening to the Daft on Draft podcast with Dalton and I, 4 episodes a week, and I'll try to get some more stuff up like this throughout the year as well. But that's it for now.